Hey, so do you know Pac-Man?
I know of him.
You know, I'm making a VR game about Pac-Man, except it's not really Pac-Man because I don't own Pac-Man. I mean, of course I don't own Pac-Man, but I'm making a VR game about Pac-Man, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Hey, it's Adam with Tech Dive, maybe soon called Space Duck. I made Pac-Man into a VR game, and that was an experience. And it came with a lot of surprises, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about, first off, how VR changes a game inherently, how some of the mechanics just will change no matter what you do. It will be a different game. I don't own Pac-Man, as I mentioned in the intro. I intend for this to be fair use because it's transformative. I don't actually use their trademark character. I do use the map from Pac-Man, but like I said, it should be transformative because the mechanics themselves are different from it being VR. And I'm not selling it, and I don't believe that I will ever hurt their future sales if they decide to sell some sort of Pac-Man VR thing. It's fun. I think you should try it out. It's a free demo. You can download it in the description below, but there's some limitations to it. It's a game jam style game. Making a game into a VR version fundamentally changes the game itself. So you can see on my screen here, I got the Pac-Man map up that I made. But when you're inside of the map as a first-person perspective, it changes the kind of game it is. So yes, I could have made you have a godlike view over the Pac-Man maze where you're still controlling Pac-Man, but that would just be giving yourself a VR camera, not necessarily making the game VR. So I made you Pac-Man. You got yellow hands and you eat the dots. But that's the first question. How do you eat dots if you're not a giant mouth thing? And so what I have you do in the game is grab the dots and push them into your face. So when you do that, you eat them. And it makes the waka sound. Yeah, I stole the sound effects because, like I said, I was making the game as an experiment. So when a game is not top down, the maze becomes different. One, it becomes actually very difficult to navigate the maze because it's a real maze. You don't have a map that you can constantly see to know where you are. Then it changes the game. You could make it to where you check a map pretty regularly and decide, like look at a map on your watch or something, but that would change the game in a way too, because if you're looking at a watch when you're running through the maze, then you are inherently not looking up to see the ghosts. Also, the ghosts in Pac-Man have a very particular AI. They all have different names, they all have different functions. Goes in front of the player, one of them goes behind it, one of them goes near it, and the other one runs away when it gets close. And these behaviors inherently create a game where Pac-Man's constantly having to outmaneuver the ghost. And you can't fairly outmaneuver a ghost if you get run into by a ghost. And also, I could make the ghost take up the entire width of the area, but then how do you get around the ghost when you get boxed in? In my version of the game, you can actually go around the ghost with teleporting. Can't in normal Pac-Man. So I actually made the ghost AI different because I didn't want them to constantly box you in. 3 of them kind of chase you around in slightly different ways, but they're all aiming for you. And there's one of them that's aiming for you in a very slow way. So he'll aim for you and he'll keep going there even when you've moved. So he's usually kind of moving through the map a little bit not knowing what you're doing, and that's actually helpful too, because that means he's very difficult to predict where he's going to be. He's actually the harder ghost to dodge, even though he has less information about where you are, because he's kind of just doing his own thing and you don't know when he's going to pop around the corner. I gave him different colors. I didn't name the ghosts. In a normal Pac-Man game, you're constantly checking the score, and you're actually trying to get a high score, because it's an arcade game where you're putting in quarters and you're trying to have a score that has this permanent mark. You're fighting for the right to be able to save your name on that game, right? So as a arcade game, it has a very fundamentally different thing than a VR play-at-home game where you have lives. You don't have lives. It's just a all or nothing death in my game. But in the original Pac-Man, you have 3 lives. I decided not to go with a live system because I thought it was fun enough to be able to dodge the ghost and try to get all the 200 dots instead of trying to die and then teleport back and then die and then teleport back. I figured there's enough leeway in the dodging the ghost that you didn't need 3 lives, unlike Pac-Man where one mistake is like instantly detrimental. So that's a fundamental change of the game design that happened because it was VR. Why teleporting? Why not locomotion? Actually, a couple of reasons. One, scope of the game. I was trying to do something I could make in an afternoon. We're going to talk about that more in a second. I was looking into doing a not teleporting, but I get really sick personally when I play VR games that don't have teleporting in it, even when you're moving kind of slowly. I actually thought it was a lot of fun to try and dodge the ghost with teleporting. What I didn't think would be fun was moving very slowly so you wouldn't get sick through the maze, because it's already kind of difficult to grab all the dots anyway. So I figured that would actually be detrimental to the game to make yourself in a more traditional gliding motion like Pac-Man is. So there is a bit of a fun and advantage to being able to teleport with ghost dodging. You can also kind of accidentally run into ghost too when you're teleporting. That's a fun emergent style. There's a few emergent things that are fun. It's fun to grab the dots and kind of bash them in your face. And so there's kind of a rhythm that happens with the game. I didn't expect this, but there's a rhythm that happens with the game. When you teleport, you actually teleport up into a dot, up next to it, and you kind of use one hand to teleport and the other hand to kind of smash the dot in your face, and it's a lot of fun. It's kind of a neat little rhythm, because while you're kind of doing that, you kind of check for the other ghosts over your shoulder, around the corner as you're going. So I think that's a neat little emergent mechanic, something that I wasn't expecting for it to have kind of a rhythmic quality to it. Could it be a rhythm game? Possibly. Would that really take away from the Pac-Man-ness of it? Yeah, that'd be a very big change. But I wanted to copy Pac-Man, mostly because I thought fun, exciting concept, and I thought about, could I actually do it? And I thought, I think I could do it in an afternoon. And that's the scope creep. For me, the more I learn, the more ambitious I want to be. And that's scary. And so with Pac-Man, I was like, oh, Pac-Man's it's an old game, and redoing its logic will only take an afternoon. And about a full 8 hours, I was able to get a functional Pac-Man. Could die. The ghost could die, and you could eat dots, and you could eat a mega dot and get bigger and kill the ghost. And that was actually kind of difficult to do. All sorts of fun, interesting things happen. I'd never had made an object flash before, and now I know how to make an object flash. Copying a game forced me to try and learn a lot of things I wouldn't have normally tried to do. I've not made a game with AI before. I kind of messed around with AI before, but I've not actually made a game with AI in it, and it forced me to do that. And at first I thought I was just going to have one ghost because I was having some trouble with it, but eventually I got to a point where I felt comfortable creating 3 different ghosts with variations to the AI in it, and so 4 different ghosts actually, like in the original Pac-Man. They all kind of come out at different times too, and that was a fun challenge to try to figure out, and I feel it made me build my skill set. Like I said about flashing dots, now I know how to make flashing dots. I know how to make yourself grow in VR now. I kind of softly knew that, but now I know much better how to do that. I had to make a lot of interesting decisions too, because Pac-Man actually goes to a cutscene when you die, and I decided not to do that. I decided to just kind of go to a platform where you either are a winner platform or a loser platform and restart the game, because you don't have quarters, and I'm not going to have cutscenes, because that's just especially because I'm trying to stay away from using the trademark character of Pac-Man. But it's a game jam style game, and the fact that it's not got proper menus, you can't adjust the resolution, it's not got 19,000 levels. It's just kind of the bare bones of the project, just seeing if it was really, I told myself, oh, I bet I could do that. And I could, actually. I did it. And it feels good to know that I actually could do it. Is it beautiful? No. You can play it yourself and decide what you think about it. It's not going to win any awards, I can tell you that. But what it can do is it really taught me a lot. It made me grow my skills. It took about 4 days. I didn't do it consecutively. I worked on it on and off, but about 4 days, full days worth of time if I mashed it all together. And it came with a lot of bugs. I found out when I was eating the dots, if I kept waving it back and forth over my face, I could accidentally make the counter go up and win the game illegitimately. That's a big bug, and so I had to decide of a way to fix that. I ended up making it to where it would only count the point if the dot was actually deleted. And that actually ended up fixing a sound effect problem I had too, because I had a problem where a sound effect, getting jumbo sound effect for the megadots kept duplicating. It was because I would accidentally wave it over my head twice, and because it wanted the way I had the sound effect cut, it would loop the sound effect until the growth effect ended, and you couldn't eat the ghost anymore. And when I was doing that, if I had two of the sound effects, it would only kill one of the sound effects, and the other sound effect would just keep going indefinitely. And then it would also be extra loud too when it first started. So that was a big bug, and that ended up fixing 2 bugs when I fixed the dot eating problem. And I already mentioned some of the struggle I had with the AI, trying to get it to just do what I wanted it to do. But one of the great things about Unreal is navigating a maze is something super easy to teach an AI in Unreal, because you just kind of go, here's where you can walk, here's where you're supposed to go, and then the AI, the Unreal Engine, just takes care of the rest. So I can't thank Unreal Engine enough. So it was a lot of fun trying to copy someone else's game. I recommend it. Now, I don't recommend, don't get yourself in legal trouble. What I mean is, academically copy someone else's game. But copying someone else's game was super cool because it really kind of forced me to do things that I wouldn't have normally tried, because I was normally staying with things. I would kind of increase my comfort zone slowly, and this kind of made me learn a lot of things I wasn't expecting to learn really fast. It was exciting. I had a to-do list that I didn't write. I had to create a way to eat dots. I didn't know how to do that before. I had made some VR stuff, but I'd never made a character eat something, and how did they do that? And you actually force yourself to recreate something that effectively does the same thing without a step-by-step guide telling you how to do that. You end up really, really getting some chops on how to do something. If you want to play it, like I said, links in the description below. I can promise it'll work for an Oculus Touch. I did intentionally try to make it work for the Index and Vive, but historically I've been having issues with that because I don't have the headsets. I can't test them. Ideally, I would love to buy, another $2,000 worth of headsets so I can test them all. If you're watching and you're wondering about the Axe Throwing game and the baseball game, I'm actually going to join those projects together, and something, either it's the Better Backyard, or it's going to be called Your Friend's Backyard, or That Friend's Backyard. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Tech Dive, maybe Space Duck in the future. I'll see you next time.